All right, fifth grade, we are going to continue our work with multiplying fractions. And today we're on lesson 4, which is on page 27. So go ahead and find that. Now, before we start this video, I'm going to ask you to not fast forward. I'm going to talk real quick about a concept that's really important. This will be very short. So I have two problems here. I have 1/3 times 2, and I have 4/3 times 2. And I want to ask you a question. By looking at these problems, can you tell me, will their answer be greater than, or the product, will their product be greater than or less than 2? So they're both being multiplied by 2. Will this product or answer be greater than 2 or less than 2? Will this product be greater than 2 or less than 2? And you're like, well, I'm not really sure. Well, we should be able to look at these two problems and actually know the answer. And we should be able to think about this in terms of this fraction is less than 1, right? If I were to multiply 1 times 2, I will get the actual answer 2, right? This fraction here is less than 1. So let's think about that. If I'm going to, it's about basically saying adding 2 1/3s together, right? 1/3 plus 1/3, what is that going to give me? It's going to give me 2/3. Is 2/3 greater or less than 1? It's a fraction, so it is less than 1. So if I multiply any number that is less than 1 by a whole number, I will get an answer that is less than that whole number, okay? Over here, we've got 4/3. What do we know about a fraction that where the numerator is greater than the denominator? It is telling us that it means more than 1. Okay, well, how much does this mean? Well, we know 4/3 is equal to or the same as 1 and 1/3. And that if I'm timesing by 2, it's saying add 1 and 1/3 plus 1 and 1/3. What is that going to give me when I add those together? It's going to give me 2 and 2/3. So you can see we got an answer that was bigger than our whole number or greater than our whole number. So we should be able to know and understand that if I multiply something that is greater than 1, it will give me an answer that is greater than the whole number. That's an important concept because they're going to expect you to understand that if I multiply a fraction by a whole number, I'll get something less than that whole number. If I multiply a mixed number or something that equals greater than 1, I will get an answer that is greater than the whole number, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into our page. That's just kind of something, a concept I want you to know. And let's look at our page, which is page 27, lesson 4. So on lesson 4, they're going to have us develop some of our thinking about number lines again. And they're showing us multiplication, 3/4 times 3, or we could even say what is 3/4 of 3. And they want us to find the product, okay? So if I come down here and I've got my number line, of course, is going to show me my whole. I have 3, so 1, 2, 3 is my number line, goes up to 3. And then how do I know what to break my number line into? My denominator tells me how many pieces to break it into. So if I look at each part of here, they should be 4 parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've broken this into fourths. It wants me to find 3/4 times 3. So that means that each of these pieces, I need to highlight 3/4. So we have 1, 2, 3/4 here. I go to my next section, 1, 2, 3/4 here. And my next one is 1, 2, 3/4 here. If you don't have a highlighter, you could just use a pencil. Okay, so what is that the same as? It's basically saying 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4, right? Because we're multiplying by 3. So we're saying 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4, and our final answer will be 9/4. Okay, we can leave it improper, but we can also think to ourselves, 9/4 is the same as 2 and 1/4, right? If I were to combine these all together, this highlighted line would go all the way up on the number line to 2 and 1/4, okay? All right, let's go down here to our portion down here. So they're going to use this word partition, and partition just means the pieces that it's cut into. So we can say that 1/2, so notice I've got 1/2 times 7. So we know that this shows our whole amount, and this denominator is 2, so we're partitioning it into 2 equal parts, right? And we want to find one part. So 1/2 times 7 is 1 part when 7 is partitioned into 2 equal parts, okay? So now we're going to come over here and we're going to say 1/2 times 7 is, and remember this is kind of where they're using that commutative property, and they've shifted that denominator over here. They haven't swapped these, but they've shifted the denominator over. It's the same as 1 times 7/2, or 7/2. And that we could, on the top, we're going to multiply together 1 times 7. And on the bottom, our denominator still is 2. And so what's our final answer? We're putting it all together. 1 times 7 is 7/2. Okay, 7/2. We know that to be true because remember how we said that if we have 7 and we break them into 2 parts, each of these parts equals 7/2. Okay, so all we're saying is that half of this number is 7/2. Half of 7 is 7/2. Okay, all together we have 14/2, which equals 7. Okay, looking down here, this is where we're going to jump into our multiplication. If we can swap the denominator to the other side to make it easier, we're going to do that. Otherwise, we're going to do our method of multiplying straight across. So we can see that if I move the 5 under the 6, it's not going to make our problem any easier. So I'm just going to write it this way, 3/5 times 6, and I can show 6 as 6/1, right? Because 6 divided by 1 is 6, and I multiply straight across. 3 times 6 is 18, and our denominator is 5. So 18/5, okay? Going over here, I'm noticing that if I were to swap the 4 underneath the 8, it is going to make my problem a little easier. So I can say that 5/4 times 8 is the same as 5 times 8/4. Remember that denominator still has to stay the denominator no matter what. Okay, and that actually simplifies my problem because now this is 5 times, what's 8 divided by 4? 2, and our final answer is 10. Okay, so again, if that confuses you, if somehow you don't see that, I can still do the problem this way. 5/4 times 8/1. It's just more, it's a little bigger numbers. Then I get 40/4, and I still equal 10. I'm going to get the same answer no matter what method I use. This is just kind of simplifying the process in some ways, but I'll get the same answer, okay? All right, good luck. You got this.